Normally at this time of day, I'm winding things down and doing my treadmill, um, and then the kids are normally in bed, and then I have finally time with my wife, where it's just the two of us for a few hours, and then we got to start everything over again in the morning. I want to take a pause now though, and I'll monetize this video for what it's worth. They don't normally stay monetized because when you talk about mental health issues, that very often gets demonetized. I'm going to say this. So there was a well-known Twitch streamer who apparently took his own life over the last couple of days. I've also seen occasionally on my social media feeds people expressing a complete lack of desire to continue on. So I figure that being in my late 40s and having been through a lot of those same feelings, I can do a video. I do this every now and then, and just be as honest as I can be. Um, and really for me, it was something I struggled with it in high school. I struggled with it in middle school. I definitely struggled with it at times as a young adult as well. That feeling that, okay, so life isn't any good. Life sucks. I don't have any special skill. I don't have any special direction. I don't have enough of what I need in order to succeed. Maybe the idea being, and I know for me it was that I always felt that me being shorter was this massive problem that is genetic. Nothing I can do about it. And it's an interesting reality that for men who are shorter, we tend to have shorter lifespans. The fact I'm left-handed and shorter means I'm surprised I've made it this far. But you definitely get judged differently. Where being 5'4" means that somehow I'm less of a man than somebody who's 5'8", 5'10", 6 foot, right? And so any job I've had, any situation I've been put in, I've had to prove myself because I'm shorter. So if it's somebody younger than me and taller than me, they're like, oh, this guy is more what we're looking for. Okay, got it. Yeah. So maybe I've had to work harder, maybe I've had to try harder, and maybe that's part of the reason why I've succeeded on YouTube. Because I've been so used to having to try harder and work harder that I am naturally bent towards overworking myself. So where other people might say, all right, well, I'll do a video every couple of days. For me, it was no, I'll do 2 or 3 videos a day. And then it was 4 videos a day. And even towards the beginning with the YouTube channel, when I was only making a couple dollars a day, I was still churning out 4 to 5 videos every day. And I felt that was, a really good output. And again, I was fashioning what I was doing after what I was seeing on news channels. So I was looking at news YouTube channels and going, okay, so they have multiple things coming out. I did try at the beginning just doing 1 video a day, and I would just make it like all the topics in one video, but it didn't work. People were complaining, going, well, it'd be better off if you just portion this out. And then I noticed when I portioned it out, the videos did much better. So I went, okay, so I'll do that. But before I got to this, and once I made peace with the fact that, yeah, I'm going to be shorter than everybody else, and there are advantages to that as well, because one thing about being underestimated is people don't expect anything from you. So anything positive, they're going to be kind of surprised by it. So there's that. And um, I know there's been times too where I've proven I'm stronger than people might think I am because I'm shorter. Like, oh, you're strong. Yeah, what? That I have a lower center of gravity, so it's easier for me to do certain things. But that's again, that's taking something I hated about myself when I was younger and making peace with it. Now, along the way, I had real self-esteem issues being shorter when it came to dealing with women, because I know, and I've talked about this videos before, but I'll throw this in here. I know I had women tell me, well, I couldn't date you because I wouldn't feel safe around you. You can't protect me. And I'm like, from what? And that was an honest question, and it came across as being sarcastic, but my it would turn into, are you worried about wolves, bears? Are you going to start trouble? Like, if a woman's looking for a bouncer as much as she's looking for a boyfriend, what kind of crap is she planning on starting? So that was an issue I had right there, where it was like, okay, that's weird. But again, it was the insinuation of you seem like a nice guy, but you're not really a man. So that would be stuck in the back of my mind, and then along the way, again, those feelings of inadequacy, and I understand how that works, and I would, due to my own lack of self-esteem, I sabotaged friendships, I sabotaged relationships, I sabotaged everything, and I would do it with, like, I would meet somebody and be like, oh, this could be a good friend, and I'd pick at it, like, okay, I got to test them, make sure they're going to stick around when things get ugly, and I would do or say something stupid, see how they'd react, and I'd be like, see, no, they're not going to stick around. So I would have the self-fulfilling prophecy of this isn't going to work, and I would do that. I would sabotage everything, and then it just snowballed from there. Now, 6 years ago, when I went from having a relationship and a family and kids to suddenly being thrown out as single and not really desiring being single in my 40s, that's where I really hit the idea of, oh boy, my life's been a complete and total failure. So at that point, I was like, okay, everything is a complete and total failure. I am a complete and total failure. And, I really believed that I was going to have a short life. It was going to be kind of pointless. And I thought, wow, this is how it ends, huh? This is sad. This is stupid. And I was resentful and angry. And again, I kept up that self sabotage. I was sabotaging any relationship slash friendship that I had at the time. And there was a lot of negative emotions I was dealing with at the time. And now life's kind of fantastic. It took me until I was in my 40s, and now I'm married. I talked about being in a relationship for 15 years. I was never married. And there is a complete and total difference between living with somebody and being married. And I had always thought that, well, it's just a piece of paper and it doesn't matter. But it does, because there is that commitment there. And it does mean this person saying, hey, I plan to stick around. I don't have any ideas in my head of wanting it out. And for me, I understood after Yvonne and I met that that's really the kind of reassurance that I had wanted, that kind of feeling of safety, and at the same time a good relationship that's equal on every footing. And so that was important. But again, to get here, I went through a lot. There was a lot of things that I would put in my own way. And there were a lot of times where I might have been able to better myself, whether it was going back to school and I didn't do it, whether it was, going for a really good job that I didn't go for. There were things that, I would talk myself out of, like, oh, I could apply to work there. That's a really good job, good pay. But I'll screw it up. Nope. Remember when I was looking at getting into the military, and I chickened out. And military, you get good pay, good benefits, and it's a job for life. You're set. And I talked myself out of it, and I stayed in the crap job. And I repeatedly throughout all of the years found excuses not to better things, in part because it was a self-fulfilling prophecy that things were always going to fall apart. Now, there were times where I would reach out to people, and I would do it in such a way that it may not have looked like I was reaching out to people. There are still days where I have a tough time with it, and I've had certainly plenty of times where, with the platform I have, where I've made videos that are completely not produced for subscribers, where I'll make a video and share it with a couple of friends, where I might be really frustrated, I might be having a really, really, really bad day. So I talk to the webcam, I vent, I say whatever I want, and I send it to a couple of friends of mine, and I feel better after. And it's important to make sure that if you're going through this stuff, that you're not basically shoving it down, because I shoved all of that down for a long, long time. And it just builds, and it'll fester, and it'll get into every single part of your life. So for people who are dealing with this kind of thing, and for people who are trying to, come out the other side, or for people who are in that self-destructive side of things, um, don't feel like there's some kind of a shame with it. I've always thought that it's wrong that we have no problem with somebody with a broken leg, or having a heart condition and needing medication for that to regulate it, or somebody who has asthma and needs something for that. But if somebody has, whether it's a chemical imbalance, whether it's just some kind of a mental issue, if they need drugs for that and they need treatment of that for some reason, that they're looked down upon, and people look at that as a sign of weakness. And that stigma seems to be going away, but it's still sort of there. So again, for people who might be going through this kind of thing, don't give it up. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on something just because you don't think you can do it. You regret the things you don't do. I look back now, most of it's stuff from when I was in my 20s, maybe early 30s, chances I didn't take. Um, like if you're thinking to yourself, boy, do I ask that person out or not? You get mad at yourself for the ones you don't. You look back on the ones you don't. And I'm happy, I'm married, everything's great. There are days where I think, I'm I'm really surprised that I never asked that person out, because clearly there was a chemistry that was there, and I wonder. And it's not a, oh, how would life have been, but it's more of a, you will regret the things you don't do, that you don't try to do, more than the things you do that don't work out. So, worst case scenario, I would have got shot down. Although I have to say, I've seen, shows and movies where it's, well, worst case scenario is they're going to say no, and then of course they, on the show or on the movie, it's way worse than just saying no, and it can be worse than saying no. It can. So, but again, just I think that with what we're going through, and with how bad 2020 is, and 2020 sucks, I think this is a more important issue right now than ever before. So I'm doing this video. I'll throw this up on the Entertainment Guy channel, and I hope this helps somebody that's going through this. I do my best to help people out where I can, when I can, and yeah, there's no shame in admitting that you have issues with that. There's no shame in any of that, because no matter how successful this channel has gotten, no matter how much I'm living a dream, there are days where I have a hard time too. There are days where things are just off, and I'm just off that whole day, and I'll say to my wife, I'll say, I'm not with it today. I am off. This just, I don't know what it is. I'm just out of it today, where my brain just decides it's going to make life difficult. So it happens, but you come out the other side. And for me, I don't have the same kind of negative spiral that I used to. I know how to get myself out of it. A lot of books that I've read. There's a lot of people that I know I can reach out to if I need to, and that helps. So I guarantee you that if you're going through this, the one thing I'll say as a caveat is this: you always hear, "Oh, don't people love you?" That's neither here nor there, because 6 years ago I felt like people didn't, and the number of people that did compared to the number of people that were like, we don't care, it was not a good ratio. So do it for yourself. And sometimes the best kick in the backside that you can get is knowing that your existence makes other people miserable. I know that sounds terrible, but the idea that, if something happens to you, that people that didn't like you are going to go, oh no, I really regret. No. No. You kind of stick around to kind of stick it to them, and kind of say, you know what, I overcame that, and I did this, and I made this work. So I'm not saying that anger can motivate you, but sometimes just the fact that you say, you know what, I'm better than that, and I'm worth more than that. That's important. So I hope this helps. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It means a ton. And I will talk to you guys again soon. I will say this at the end of this video too. I was doing the book reading on this channel. I do need to finish the book reading part 2. As part of the reason why I was reading the book on this channel, because I felt like for people who are dealing with a lot of the stresses of 2020 right now, where we're seeing a lot more issues, that's it's nice to have something that just feels like it's an escape and it's reassuring. So sometimes that can help. But let me know your thoughts as always. And again, there's no shame in admitting that you're having a hard time. There's no shame in admitting you need help, and there really shouldn't be. And that stigma, I don't think, is what it used to be. And hopefully in the future, it just disappears altogether. Thanks for all your support. Thanks for helping me through that. For subscribers who've been with either channel or both channels right from the very beginning, because it made a huge difference. The channels made an absolutely huge difference in my life and were a big part of me turning things around. And yeah, I'll also get into some other things in another video soon, because there's some societal judgments that are going on right now that I'm saying, you know what, maybe lay off and maybe let up a little bit. It's related to the cancel thing that I've been talking about in certain videos, but it's not exactly that. Where I think there's some things people are getting really mad about or getting judgy about, that I'm saying, you know what, maybe back off a little bit on that. Maybe just back off. Some of it I understand, some of it not so much. Thanks for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.